Fanatics and the Fan. My name is Hawk, and we've got a super special show for you guys this week. I couldn't be more excited for our guests. I'm just going to get right into it and introduce the crew. Of course, everybody knows my favorite person, my partner in crime and my cohort. Say hello, Loot. And I was recently honored to hang out and spend some time doing a lot of crazy fun things with the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks, and leading that charge is Mr. Eddie Ray Warren. Eddie, go ahead and introduce your fellow compatriots.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eddie Ray Warren. Eddie Way Warren, if I could just not slur my speech. I think they should introduce themselves because they are all interesting people and they all do awesome things for basically the love of Ghostbusters and nothing else. Go ahead, Nate.
Ladies first, Misha.
Oh, ladies first, right.
It's nice whenever chivalry kicks in whenever it comes time for public speaking. I always appreciate that. So I'm Misha. I'm actually one of the newest members, and I was brought in to play Janine. So I get to show up and be snarky with people, and no one throws things, which I always appreciate.
She's very good at it. The snarky and the throwing things, I guess, as well.
And I am Nate Lee. I'm sort of in the middle. Misha's newest. Eddie's super old. I've only been with this outfit for about 3 years, but
these things are real, right?
Yeah. I've seen shit that will turn you white.
So, before, I know Lou probably has like 1,000 questions because she doesn't know you as well as I know you guys. But I'm just going to start this out because Eddie, you've handled most of this, and you've been doing this the longest. You've been doing this from a standpoint where there were only the 2 movies and all the other stuff that they had designed for kids back then.
Right.
How does one carry the legacy as long as you have?
It's not mine to carry. Those 2 movies carry themselves. And it is a huge surprise, not only finding people that are just like me, that, it starts off with a Halloween costume, and then you find another guy who's like, hey, let's do a parade, and then you find another guy during the parade, and then it's so free flowing. And it's the same thing with people when we started doing conventions. Little kids were already wearing proton packs. It's like parents would bring them over to the table and they would be just as excited as they are today. Like for some reason, those movies just hold true and have since the 80s. And yeah, there's no work, man. Like everything is just from when they were made. Is everybody just loves them just as much from then to now. If that, yeah, I just messed up that whole ending part, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
All right, Luke, take over.
Well, okay, so I'm curious, how long have you been ghost busting? I know that Nate said that he's only been apart only 3 years. So when did the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks really start?
Well, in all honesty, the Ghostbusters Ozarks started back in 2003. We say we started in 2009, but that's basically when the Springfield, there was 3 guys in Springfield, and then me and my brother in West Plains. But me and my brother in 2003 made a very goofy fan film called The Invasion of the White-Faced Stalking Murderers. And all it was a race of Michael Myers coming down, Michael Myers plural.
Mm-hmm.
And it was up to 4 guys, wink wink, to build proton packs and try to get rid of them. It was my way of trying to redo the first Ghostbusters movie with my friends and my brother. And when we did that, we built the packs, and they were only cardboard at the time. And we had to get the worker type jumps you get at Walmart, the khaki ones. But when we did that, we found out there was a showing in Tulsa, an original 35 millimeter print of Ghostbusters. And we had done one parade with John Hall about this time, is like 06, somewhere around there. And John Hall here in Springfield, awesome guy, one of the top members, the old guys, as Nate would say. He's like, can I tag along? And so he tagged along with us to Tulsa. And then from there it was just like, hey, you want to do this event? Hey, you want to do that event? So like it's, and in reality, we had suits and stuff when we were kids. We have a message board amongst us, Ghostbusters Ozarks, and it's every once in a while it'll be like, show me your picture as a kid, and all of us will have, the paper plates on the box on the back, and we're all having homemade Ghostbuster stuff, or we've got the Kenner Real Ghostbusters stuff on. Like, it's so awesome. We've been Ghostbusters all of our lives for the most part, for most of us. So
All right.
So Misha, because the guys are never going to let you talk, so I'm going to ask you a question directly. But because when I know when I've asked Eddie this, we will just have to end the show. Where does your love and passion for this entire franchise come from?
Honestly, it's kind of the same thing. It's childhood. I have a lot of really happy memories being able to watch this as a kid. But for me, I kind of got into it more through the cartoons, and then later on, whenever I got older, a little bit more into the movies. And Nate will give me grief for this, but Slimer is still one of my favorites, and he will get on to me for saying that a little bit, because Slimer was apparently too big of a deal at some points. But
I mean, clearly Slimer has attacked Nate, and that's his problem with Slimer. Look at his hair.
Yeah. Or Slimer was my dad,
Wow.
I've read a lot of interesting fan fictions. I don't know, maybe that could be it, but it's just a lot of really happy memories of being able to watch those things, playing in the school playground with my friends, pretending like we were Ghostbusters, things like that. And then it was kind of fun getting asked to come in and do these things, because I was at a convention dressed up as Stay Puft Marshmallow, and next thing I know, Ghostbusters were inviting me over, and then Eddie got in touch with me, and I've been having fun ever since.
So now, I mean, I could be blind, but is Eddie over there eating Stay Puft right now?
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is.
I needed the sugar. I've been slurring my speech this whole time. I'm like, the only way I'm going to get through this is if I've got like a little bit of hyper energy, and there's nothing like a bag of Stay Puft marshmallows to do that for you. So,
well, and we've learned not to let you eat the Twinkies, and we have to do a lot of public speaking.
That's true.
Although, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't somebody eat? No, you drank one of the ectoplasms from like 10 years ago or something, didn't they?
Yeah, thanks Austin Hubbard for that. We all, but we had to. No, in 2016 they re-released the High C Ecto Cooler, and Nate was awesome. He made a homemade 5-gallon jug of awesome Ecto Cooler. It needed alcohol, but other than that, like it was delicious. It was almost exactly like I remembered it. And then all of a sudden, Austin from the back is like, I've got real Ecto Cooler, and of course has expired 5-6 years ago now. And the only way I could describe is it tasted like prune juice that had been sitting out for a very long time. What do you think, Nate? What it tastes like?
I didn't taste it. I brought the good stuff.
You didn't taste it? Oh, damn.
I brought stuff that I knew was good. And I was like, here's 5 gallons of it. And you're like, take this poison for comedy content.
Go ahead, Lute.
Oh, that's fantastic. It seems like I can't go anywhere without running into the Ghostbusters lately. I know you guys had this really cool event in November over at 1984. How often do you guys get to work with local businesses like that?
Well, hang on. Before we're not going to just glaze past that.
So, I don't really know small details.
I'm not going to glaze past that. You guys tell us about the event at our wonderful friends at 1984. I've got to let the world know what they got that chance to experience in 1984.
Well, the guys over at 1984 are mechanical geniuses keeping all those arcade machines running. It just sits them at a different level. And they, with the movie coming up for us, and with, you know, just sort of being able to go out and do a bunch of fun stuff again around people, they went all out for the haunted 1984. Last half of October, first half of November, they did everything with Ghostbusters stuff, and they had Children of the Corn night, they had Friday the 13th night, and just they decorated everything. And we were privileged enough to be asked to be sort of the main attraction every Friday and Saturday with scripted and semi-scripted events for, you know, the customers and the patrons of the arcade.
Well, Devin said he wasn't going to do it without us. When season 2 of Stranger Things came out, they decked out the whole bottom part of their arcade, the whole floor, into Stranger Things, to where like you'd walk around the corner and it was the living room with the Christmas lights, and they would interact with you and say different things, and they had the soundtrack going, and the soundtrack was timed with the lights, and they had the Hawkins lab and all this other stuff. And what's sad is they never had really good video or pictures of it, and they only did it for one weekend. And these guys at 1984 Arcade are as huge of Ghostbuster fans as we are. Like these guys know the movie, you know, they could quote it. They love this movie. And so when they got excited about this new movie, Devin called me. He's like, "You need to get down here. I need to talk to you about something." And he was like, "All right, we're going to build a containment unit that works, sound and everything. We're going to build a room that you'll actually be able to like capture a ghost, trap it. And there's going to be a fridge with Zool in it. And there's going to be a chair with arms."
It looked so cool.
But the thing is like, me, if you know me, I get uber excited about everything. And it's hard to be part of a group that way, because they're telling me all this stuff, and of course I'm like giddy about it. And so I'm messaging the group and talking to the guys personally, like they're planning on doing this. And because I had seen the Stranger Things set up, I knew they could do it. And they had also told me, like, instead of a weekend, they're going to do it for 4 weekends. They're going to do it for 4 weeks. And I was like, oh man. And it's only because they wanted it to be up for longer so people would be able to experience it. And for as much of the work as they're putting into it as well, like it needed that 4 weeks for people to get word of mouth and everything else and go check it out. And they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and it still blows my mind to this day. If you go down to 1984 Arcade right now, you can still see the containment grid, and you can still see the fridge, and Data Bear's chair is there as well. The only thing sadly
is the dog still there?
The dog is still there, yes.
Yeah,
he's still there. No, and immediately they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna take everything down. Like as soon as the event's over, we're gonna take everything down." And I would see Devin, because I would help them set up, and Devin would come downstairs where the grid's at with a cup of coffee, and you could hear the hum of the grid. They put that electrical hum in there, and he would look at the grid and then look at me, and he's just like, "That's just a soothing noise." And then and he would tell me, he's just like, "I think I'm gonna keep it up for an extra week or two." And then that week or two is just like, "I think I'm gonna keep it up to the new year." So as of right now, the Ghostbuster stuff is up for the new year, just in that room. And then the Terror Dog is at the far end where the New York Public Library stuff is. So definitely something to go see.
You actually gave me my first interesting, wonderful question I get to ask you guys. So Misha mentioned that she was into the cartoon, which I think we all were as well. So, and in the cartoon, and the comic book, they busted everything. It wasn't just ghosts. They busted anything supernatural. And I know that Eddie has a huge love of horror. If you were a Ghostbuster with all of their equipment, what creepy, crawly, scary would make you reconsider being a Ghostbuster? And we'll start with Nate. He's thinking hard about it too.
As soon as there was some sort of ghost shark or ghost aquatic animal, I would check my retirement, see if I was eligible yet. Everything else I'm pretty good with, but I'm on land, I'm inland, I'm safe. I don't need a ghost shark messing with me. That'll probably be the thing that turns me off.
Okay, Misha, what about you?
For me, it would probably be any horror character that has been done or reimagined by Rob Zombie. There's just something about him. After he gets a hold of him, you're like, nope, my chance of survival just plummeted. If it's Captain Spaulding, I'm out. If it's Three from Hell, I'm definitely not going to make it. I mean, my only chance, if it's Michael Myers or anything, is to trip one of these guys and hope I can outrun him. But they're a little bit quicker about getting up than I am.
Just to be clear, did she just say she was getting ready to trip Nate?
Yeah.
I said,
yeah,
I can
absolutely.
try. They would definitely be able to get back up sooner. And I know them well enough to know that I get my comeuppance for that. So I'm not going to try it.
I would never get up.
Yep. Yeah, this is my life now.
I think I'd be able to handle any horror movie character. Like if you have a real proton pack on your back, there's in the video game you can switch it to where it's like boson darts, to where it just shoots this big mass of energy and it just explodes things. It's like that's what I'm thinking is like if any of those people like zombies or anything like that came at me, I'd just be demolishing them. But I think if some kind of demon took the form of a legion of spiders, and not a big spider, like a big spider doesn't scare me, like a huge spider, for some reason I'd be like, whatever. It would have to be like, you look at the ground like Indiana Jones, the floor is moving. If that were to happen, that's where I'm like, no, I'm gone. You get somebody else to do this. I don't care. Like, cause that floor would be on fire. Like, I would probably be as well. That would be how I would die as a Ghostbuster.
There's one on your leg and you just shoot the proton.
Yeah, exactly.
One. Ah!
I don't need that. Like, I got another one.
So the concerning part with this is we came up with things that are not likely. Yours is a possibility. You have not let everyone know
Right.
your weakness.
Right. Keep fire and spiders away from me at the same time, please.
What you got, Luke?
I am not a fan of scary things. It would not take
what's your
much
next-
for me to decide that I'm done.
What's your next
Like,
question?
You could
Ellie?
like have Casper pop out and I'd be like, no, we're good. I'm done. I'm out.
Well, that's a question. Would you guys capture Casper?
No.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you see even in the cartoon, which is the most that we got of Ghostbusters, they just bust the annoying ones, the troublesome ones. Casper's uncles, yeah, absolutely. But Casper's not bothering anybody. Nobody's gonna pay us to bust Casper, so.
I mean, Casper made you breakfast. Why would you want to get rid of him?
Right.
Plus, Devon Sawa, just saying.
What's the next question, Luke?
Did you say his name right? Is it
I have no idea.
Devon Sawa? Is that how you say his name?
Devon Sawa?
Devon
I
Sawa,
always
I don't
said
know.
Sawa.
It's been ages. I am no longer a 12-year-old girl who's obsessed with that. So
Devon Sawa.
We're still impressed.
What kind of events do you guys have in store for 2022?
We've got a couple booked right now. We've got a library sort of Comic-Con coming up for the Christian County Library. We've got another con in Neosho for the Neosho Council of the Arts. I think that's in January or February. We don't book super far out usually, but when they give us a call, and St. Patrick's Day Parade, Christmas Parade 2022, we're all in.
I mean, who
When
are you
they give
gonna
us a
call?
call.
there's also VisionCon too, right?
Yes.
Right.
Um,
And the president of VisionCon happens to be a member. So
What
That's-
would Eddie, what would you say is like the average number of events you guys do in a year?
It's nuts because we do like after December, we will have a nice break. We always do. Like everything will slow down, and then St. Patrick's Day parade about February, March, and then as soon as that hits, is like we'll do about like 2 events per month until summertime, and then summertime a handful, and then the closer you get to that Halloween season, we'll have people book us for the Halloween season right when the beginning of the year starts. So that's what we're doing in January, February for the most part, is just booking people for already in October, which is nuts. It never used to be that way. Back in the day, it was just like we've got these parades lined up, we've got Vision Con lined up. That's about it. rest of its life, or like some random message from somebody that wants to set a birthday party or something like that. We usually at those times we're so bored that we're just like, hey guys, you want to get together and just have a barbecue, or you want to do this? So
I'm sorry, I envisioned someone trying to barbecue an entire pig with a proton pack in my head. I don't know where that. I don't know. I got that.
Wouldn't take very long.
I can imagine a few people who'd want to try it, but
I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm actually envisioning Nate going, that's okay, we're gonna eat well. Hang on a second. I got this.
Yeah, and then like Eddie walking around offering like 10-year-old pork rinds to people.
right.
While we're trying to eat this delicious food.
now I know to check expiration dates anytime I'm hanging around with you guys. But kind of going off what they were talking about with events, there's also sometimes whenever some of the other organizations of Ghostbusters in other areas like Kansas City and stuff invite us to go and help with some of their stuff too.
And I think naturally, and this is what Eddie's the most excited about talking about. He don't like talking about himself that much, but you can talk about the movies all day long. When the movie gets announced, let's just go back to when it gets announced. Does everybody remember when they heard it and how they felt?
Oh hell yeah. No, dude, I love that.
Sorry, there was no hesitation. Hell to the
my mouth is full of marshmallow. No, I was working and I was leaving because I was a liquor vendor at the time, and I was running with a good friend of mine, and we were stocking shelves, and we were leaving a Walmart, and I remember it because it was a Wednesday, and it was so random because we hadn't heard anything about a new movie. Like nobody had announced that they were making a new movie. And all of a sudden I get a message from my wife saying that there's a small teaser for a new Ghostbusters. And I'm like, no, this is like, she must have ran across some kind of like fan made trailer for a new Ghostbusters. It's not real. And then I remember walking to the parking lot back to my car, and it was like ding, ding, ding on my phone, just all over the place. It was like, have you seen it? Have you seen it yet? And all it was that pull into the barn, and then the flap comes off the car, and you can see part of the car, and it's got the awesome music, and it says summer 2020 at the time. If you can imagine that. Summer 2020 was when we were supposed to get that damn movie. But they released that trailer the same day that they announced it, which is something nobody ever does. Like Jason Reitman had pictures of him with the old car. He's just like, I just got the keys from my father. It is so awesome. And I've seen the movie. I still can't believe after 2016 that we got another Ghostbuster movie, and it turned out to be as good as it did.
That you could be proud of.
Right.
I'm not gonna say that out loud.
Yeah. Well, since '89, Dan Aykroyd's been saying, and we're working on the third one. So like, there's been a lot of raised hopes, and then getting them dashed, and then 2016 happened, and then we're like, okay, here we go.
I
And
like
then,
how he says that.
Address it like it's the incident.
yeah, listen, I'm on record as saying that 2016 is great because at least one person watched it and went, oh, I need to watch those other ones too. Maybe they're pretty good, But it didn't make the money that Sony likes to see their movies make. So we were like, sort of like resigned, like, okay, Ghostbusters is pretty much dead. And then like Eddie said, they dropped the teaser trailer, they dropped the official announcement and the release schedule and the casting and the writing, and it's like, what? What? And there's a part of you that doesn't want to get excited, but
Right.
yeah, once it's all there, and Deadline and Variety and all these other places are reporting like it's actually going to happen, you kind of gotta get a little excited, man.
Misha.
I'll be honest, I had zero expectations. As you've mentioned the incident, I didn't like the incident very much, so I went in with pretty low expectations, but as I started seeing more stuff, I started getting very excited. So it's something that I was very nervous about before, because I'm just like, I want to make sure they do this right. If I'm going to actually get excited about this, I need to make sure that my childhood's not going to get disappointed again. Yeah, just a little bit. But the more I started seeing, the more excited I got. And then I was blown away. Like, it far exceeded anything that I'd expected to see.
So now you guys are clearly actual super uber fans. The name of the show is Fanatics and Fan. You guys are 100% the fanatics in this, in all of this. So let me ask you this, and it's super important to me to understand this. I know I have my favorite Ghostbusters story, period. Just, it's one of my favorites. To me, it's hilarious. What would you say is one of the greatest Ghostbusters stories that you know of, or that you cherish because it personifies Ghostbusters? They're all like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, no. I totally get what you're going for. Like, there are a bunch of like fun little anecdotal stories about the making of, and people who are drug addicts and then they became healthy because of a group of Ghostbusters, gave them an outlet. But my favorite sort of story involved that relates back to Ghostbusters is actually an interview I watched with Harold Ramis way back in the day when they were talking about the Real Ghostbusters. And since Aykroyd and Reitman and Ramis had absolute control over what happened on those shows, they were, constantly being brought new ideas and new stuff like that for the later seasons. And at one television convention or press meet, a psychologist goes up to Harold Ramis and says, "We're really happy with the work that you're doing with Ghostbusters, because as a child psychologist, I can use that as a tool to help children who have real anxiety and real fear and real just stress issues, to show them it's okay to be afraid. There's always something you can do if you are afraid. And, other people are afraid too. And you can learn from their actions to sort of deal with what makes you afraid." And that's just like my favorite story of all time, because like that's Ghostbusters. It's ghosts are scary. What can we do about it? Let's go help people.
Misha.
Honestly, my favorite thing about it is just the community. So one of the things that I really love is, because I'm still very new to the group, I'm just kind of getting to see these things, but just seeing how people interact with others, how they go out of their way to try to include and be just welcoming to everyone. But also, whenever we're looking at people who are now looking at trying to join the group, and we're finding pictures of them whenever they were kids with our older Ghostbusters, that's really heartwarming. And just knowing that now they get to kind of carry on that legacy and bring that on to others too. It's something that with this, unlike a lot of other groups and stuff I've been a part of, there's really no ego with it. It's not about us as a group, it's about the Ghostbusters as a whole. So like when we were talking about Eddie not liking to talk about Eddie, but he'll talk about the franchise all day long, that's something that I really kind of love about it, because whenever people are talking and they're inviting them, it's not, hey, come hang out with me, it's, hey, come hang out with us, let's talk about this, let's do this. And it's very we and us, not me and mine.
When you say welcome, you mean everybody but Slimer, right?
Slimer is always welcome.
He just lives in New York. He can't come around.
For the record, Janine and Slimer had a very sweet relationship, and that's something that was always well developed.
Eddie.
No, you say I don't like to talk about myself. I'm going to talk about myself right now.
I'll show you.
No, yeah, I'll show you who's got the ego. Community, whatever. Talking about no, you guys have the meaningful stories. My favorite story that has to do with Ghostbusters has to do with my grandma, because I used to have bad nightmares as a kid, and it had to do with the fact that my mother would just let me watch anything. That's why I'm into horror movies as much as I am, is because I was watching Freddy and Michael Myers at like 6. So, but my grandma was dead set that it was Ghostbusters, because I was so obsessed with Ghostbusters as a small kid too, that she was just like, you need to get Eddie to stop watching that Ghostbusters. It was like, I remember the cartoon came on at her house and I got so excited and she shut it off in front of me. And I remember, like, as like a 6-year-old kid, turning to my grandma and being like, it's exactly what made me think of the story is what Nate just said. It, like, I turned to her as like, this is what actually helps me. Like, this is how I get through, is because I know that the Ghostbusters are the good guys. It's like, you want to be the good guys. They fight the nightmares. They fight the bad guys. It's like, I know that Freddy doesn't stand a chance. It's like, going back to what we were talking about before, like those horror movie characters, I think it's been embedded in my mind that they've been fighting in my head these characters for years, that I know is like the Ghostbusters will always be on top. And man, I still, like, when I tell people, it's like, yeah, my grandma thought the Ghostbusters was the reason why my nightmares was killing me. It's like, no, it's because my mom let me walk into, Sal's Video on the corner and go into the horror movie section and just, whatever.
Damn it, Sal.
It was Sal, damn it.
Here's what I think is adorable. That is not what I was really asking, and those stories were great. But one of my favorite Ghostbusters story is they were bound and determined to make this movie. And to that end, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a Ghostbusters before there was a Ghostbusters. And so because of that, I get to show you guys this clip, and you guys get to tell the fans what we're seeing. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't work. Got to undo it. I do that every once in a while. Got to hit the right buttons. If you don't hit the right buttons, things won't work out, right?
I love technology. It makes your life so much easier, right?
Right.
22, 1. Mark.
Classic.
Special talent. Good. Mark. I like that one. What if it falls?
PKE in the pocket is priceless.
Right?
It's not gonna stay.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call the professionals.
Ghostbusters!
Ghostbusters!
One more on the same roll. Just a little faster and a little bit more energy.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the move. Is this the one?
Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience
Believe so.
feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals.
Ghostbusters!
Now that's the last tape,
Mhm.
but
Stoppers!
there it is.
Ghost
Have you or
stoppers.
any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Ghost Stoppers! Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and I'm sorry, we'll do it again.
Just blasters?
Blasters.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost? If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals.
Ghostbusters!
Mark?
Ghostbusters.
Blasters.
Could you imagine if they had used any of those other names? Because there was Ghost Stopper, Ghost Blaster. There was a couple
Ghost
of
Smashers.
There was a
Smashers.
couple of really stupid ones, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there? Like some
Wasn't
really
there like a
bad.
Ghost Chasers too, or
Yes.
something like that?
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
we be here if they had been anything other than Ghostbusters?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it went, no, who are you gonna call? Ghost Stoppers. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, try and separate yourself from the fandom a little bit. Ghostbusters is a stupid name, man. It's what is Gangbusters? It's a play on Gangbusters. Yeah, everybody knows what Gangbusters was, you know. So yeah, I think it's like
It comes
it's
off
like
the tongue a little bit.
a little bit, but I think the movie itself was like that, and that magic of Ramis and Aykroyd and Reitman making something really interesting and sort of revolutionary. I think if you slap a different name on it, that DNA is still there. I think it pretty much be the same.
Something with this though is it does go to show like how copyright makes things difficult. So they wanted the name Ghostbusters from the very beginning. There was already a show that had that. They were fighting to try to get it. Well, they were filming all these things with all these different names over and over and over. But there was this one scene where they have the entire crowd outside yelling Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters. That's when they called up the execs, held up the phone, said, we need this name. And they just held out the phone for people to listen, and then they hung up. But it was a matter of the right person moving to the company that actually owned the rights, getting them the ability to do it. So I like all the legal side of that too. I thought that was kind of a fun thing to do. But I agree with Nate. I would have loved it no matter what they called it.
No, yeah. The best part of that whole story is that the cartoon is called The Real Ghostbusters because Filmation wanted to do the cartoon as well to make money off of how popular the movie was after the movie was released.
So there's another layer to that. They were going to go with one company for the toy rights, and the toys and the prototypes they brought them were just no good. And so to recoup their loss for like the manufacturing of the prototypes and the licensing and all that stuff, the toy company relaunched the Ghostbusters as a new cartoon to try and sort of combat the Ghostbusters trademark, and then the Ghostbusters had to make the Real Ghostbusters. It's just this nightmare of legalese.
Well, and the thing is, they released the cartoons only a week apart as well. So to have Ghostbusters with that go Ghostbusters against the Real Ghostbusters almost at the same time. So they had to advertise and market their own cartoons at the same exact time. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, here's a question, because I just realized I remember one of these. What episode of the cartoon do you remember?
Watch them all the time. I remember all of them.
What's the first one that comes to your mind?
The Call of Cthulhu. It's a play on Lovecraft's Call of Cthulhu, but they don't have any of the rights, so they made Cthulhu this giant cat monster, and like so it's a Ghostbusters versus essentially Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft, and it's always my favorite because it really like I think they go to Miskatonic University to find the Necronomicon because none of that stuff is copywritten, but Cthulhu was copywritten, so they turned it into a cat.
Eddie.
No, there's an episode called Knock Knock, and it's an underground portal with a door on it, and this demonic door knocker is like, do not open until doomsday, and these miners release this energy. And it's the cartoon that I'll say to this day is like, if they ever made a movie from one of those cartoons, it ends up being like the ghosts are overrunning the city, like a classic Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters have to go down there, and they realize that going through this portal, they may not come back. And so at the end of this cartoon, they're saying their goodbyes. I think one of them is just like, but I had season tickets to the Mets. Like the cartoon, the first season of the Real Ghostbusters is so well written, and I laugh at most of those jokes to this day. Like any adult that says like, oh, I'm not gonna watch it because it's a cartoon. No, you need to do yourself a favor. Like there's funnier stuff in that cartoon that I'm not gonna mention that 2016 movie again, but you know.
Misha.
Well, I'm clearly just a little bit partial to Janine. So one of mine is actually how in the cartoon, Janine actually ends up making a deal with the baddies to try to become Egon's, perfect woman, but no one's noticing all these things. So it keeps driving her further and further towards madness, and eventually leads to a lot of changes in her. But then there's this wonderful moment where people start to realize, oh, wait a minute, this is Janine, because they're looking through like a photo album or something like that. And they're starting to recognize all the changes, but it leads to this wonderful moment between Egon and Janine where she confronts him and he doesn't back away from it. And you actually have a really good amount of character growth with that. And I think that that's something that you just don't get in some of those movies. I think that that's something we get a little hint of in the newest movie, which I really loved. But I was really surprised as a kid and even as an adult going back and rewatching those to see just how in depth and just three-dimensional they tried to make the characters.
And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the only reason it stands out because it is the most ridiculously thing that what was this guy thinking when he wrote this? But wasn't there an episode where some dude got this great power and he could wish for whatever he wanted? So he wished for all the chickens to be gone, and that caused the end of the world.
Me and my daughters just watched that episode.
So I wasn't dreaming that actually happened. That was an actual episode.
The Ghostbusters YouTube page has been putting out episodes of the Real Ghostbusters for free. Like it's awesome. It's like every Saturday morning they'll release a new cartoon. And so one of the ones, I forget what it's called, but yeah, he hates the smell of chickens. Like his apartment is above like a chicken restaurant, and so he's just like, I hate the smell of chickens. I hate chickens. It's ridiculous, but he sells his soul to a demon. The demon at first is just like, what do you want? You want to live forever? Do you want this or that? He's just like, I just want you to get rid of chickens. And he's like, and then the other demons start making fun of that demon because
didn't the demon actually call the Ghostbusters? It was the demon that brought the Ghostbusters in, wasn't it?
No, this guy was wishing things away, and so I think that's what got the Ghostbusters to him. And then the guy actually wishes the Ghostbusters away, and so the Ghostbusters end up kind of in hell with this other demon. And the demon, does
it's because the demon saves them whenever they almost die because of the guy.
Yeah,
right. No, but the demon's just like, I tell you what, if you, because I think it's Egon says like, I've got a plan, and the demon doesn't know what to do. So the demon's just like, all right, yeah, if you've got a plan, I'll send you guys back and blah blah blah.
And chickens.
Wow.
That's the best part. Chicken.
Anyone who's ever been around a chicken farm, though, you get it.
Yeah, if you've been chased or flogged by an angry chicken, like you can totally see wasting a wish on that.
So I think what Nate is saying, so it's not the other scary things that he's most scared of, it's the chickens too.
No, I could just wish them away. That won't make me quit being a Ghostbuster.
And to borrow a line from another great show, yes, I could see a chicken making you his bitch. God, we're nerdy. So, and I've been dancing around it. We've only got a little bit of time left. So let's the new movie. We got to see the premiere. We got to host all kinds of events, which was super fun. without giving out a whole lot of spoilers, I'm confident in saying they've built a good platform for the franchise going forward.
Absolutely.
Continue.
No, definitely. It's something that I've always wanted, and it's something that you could tell has been on Jason Reitman's mind for a very long time, and especially after 2016, because not to delve into that a little bit, but when the Sony leaks happened, there was a lot of bad stuff going on between Sony and Ivan Reitman, Jason's dad, who did the original movies. And Ivan Reitman basically got screwed out of the franchise. So when the franchise got screwed back by Paul Feig, I bet that it was one of those days where Jason Reitman walked up to the Sony lot. It was just like, look, I've got this is what Ghostbusters means to people. This is how it should be done. And it should be done with heart, because these movies are a lot more than just an SNL skit. Like, yes, the original clan of comedians, most of them were from SNL, but that's not the main ingredient. That's not what makes Ghostbusters what it is. It's the thickest stew you could imagine of all of this awesome stuff. And that's one thing that the 2016 movie was missing, was heart. And you could tell that Jason Reitman knew it. And all along, like hearing him in interviews before we even saw the movie, like that's all he was talking about. He's talking about having his father with him the entire time filming, how it was a family affair, how like he's making this movie for not only the fans but himself and his dad. That's what I loved. Is it's like, we as Ghostbuster fans knew how wronged Ivan was from that 2016 movie,
Right?
like how they treated him. And so to see his son step up and be like, I'm gonna do this for you. Like, there's in most interviews now with Ivan Reitman, like it, and if Jason Reitman's there talking about him, Ivan Reitman breaks down crying. And I think it's because he knows that like his son has saved Ivan Reitman made this awesome thing that could have been like the franchise could have continued on. They had Chris Farley talked about being in a Ghostbusters movie in the 90s and stuff. Like, if Bill Murray would have just been like, yes, no, because he was one of those guys that had to say yes to another movie as well, because in the contract is like all these guys were signed onto sequel rights and stuff. If he would have just been like, here, just take it and run, man, we'd have so many like creative freaking Ghostbuster movies.
Did you ever get to the point, and this is for everybody, did you ever get to the point where like, all right, this is not gonna happen, I give up?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
again,
well, I mean,
no hesitation.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna give up loving it, but we're not gonna see a sequel. We're not gonna see. 2014 Harold Ramis died, and we go, well, there it is. That's it. We're done.
Well, like even my mom back in the day, it was 99, and Dan Aykroyd had posted something about like, oh, there's going to be another Ghostbusters. What's when he's writing Ghostbusters Go to Hell or whatever, or Ghostbusters Dominion, whatever it was called. I was just like, Mom, do you think they're going to make another Ghostbusters? Which my mom was never the person to talk to about these movies at all. But she's a very smart lady. And she's just like, when did part 2 come out? I was just like, part 2 was in 89. She's like, honey, it's been 10 years. They're not making another movie. So since then, like, no, I had to listen to her. It's like, as much as I loved, Uncle Aykroyd telling me every week that there was going to be another movie, it's like that week would go by.
So now let me ask you this. Is there any disappointment that this last movie wasn't a comedy?
It was a comedy, though.
It was a lot of stuff.
It had all the stuff. So it's not necessarily just a comedy. It's a comedy. It's a drama. It's everything that we wanted it to be and more.
Right. That's what Ghostbusters is. Yeah. Ghostbusters is, like I say, it's that stew. It's not like to put it on a shelf in the comedy section. It's got all of these comedic actors, and you see the lineup of the people that are in it, you would just assume it belongs in that comedy section. But it's got so much in the horror genre. It's got so much, like, it's got fantasy in it. Like, that's when I try to tell people that it's a horror movie, it's like, well, it's like a horror fantasy, but with, but with comedy. It's hilarious.
Sci-fi, romance, like business action. Yeah, there's not a genre that perfectly encapsulates the first Ghostbusters movie, or the second for that matter. So
they throw the Bible in there. It's biblical too.
Yeah.
Wow, you just took it to another level.
Religious studies 101. Here we go.
We're gonna put it on the Hallmark Channel now.
All right.
I'm gonna circle back to what you said though. I don't think this is ever gonna die, especially if you go based off the fandom. But the other thing too is I'm a horror movie junkie. We don't let things die. We sent Jason into space. Clearly, anything is possible.
Oh, that was
you just have to get the budget for it. Now, whether or not it'll be good, I don't know. But with Ghostbusters, I think there's a certain amount of litmus test that's happening now, which is good.
I like Nate said, so that's who's responsible for that. So let's give out some information. Where are all of the things, all of the numbers? Where can we find the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks?
You can find us at ghostbustersoftheozarks.org. We're on Twitter as Ghostbusters of the Ozarks, Instagram, TikTok, our email at gmail.com. Just reach out, give us a call. You know who to call.
Who you gonna call?
And that is our show, folks. I cannot believe we've done the show as long as we have, and we haven't had my favorite people on the world, the Ghostbusters of the Ozarks. You'll see them at conventions, you'll see them at charity events, you'll see them at parades, and now you can see them right here at Fanatics and the Fan.